Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we cut through the noise and get straight to the insights.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're diving into, well, a challenge that for many feels absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Building your English vocabulary. I mean, you look at the Oxford English Dictionary, over 171,000 words. It can feel incredibly overwhelming if you're trying to get fluent.
It absolutely can, yeah. And our mission today is really custom tailored for you, the listener, to sort of cut through that overwhelm.
Right.
We're here to equip you with practical, effective, and honestly, even some fun strategies to really get a handle on English vocabulary.
And we've cast a pretty wide net for this deep dive, haven't we? We've pulled insights from language learning experts, wellness hubs, even personal stories from people who've successfully learned languages.
Exactly. So you should be getting a really comprehensive and hopefully actionable set of strategies today.
Okay, so let's kick things off. The big question. Why is vocabulary just so critical for mastering English?
It's a great starting point. What's fascinating here, I think, is that vocabulary isn't just, knowing a list of words. It's actually about unlocking fluency and real comprehension. One source we looked at highlighted that once you have a basic grasp of grammar, vocabulary quickly becomes the main sort of pain point in truly understanding and crucially being understood. It gives you the power to get your message across, even if your grammar isn't perfect,
Sure.
And it massively speeds up your reading and listening too.
So it sounds like there isn't one single magic trick then, like no easy button to just download all those words.
No, definitely not. That's a really crucial point, actually. Our sources all pretty much agree. No single method works for everyone. And learning English or any language, it's an ongoing journey, right? The real key is finding the strategy, or maybe strategies plural, that work best for you.
Okay.
It's about patience, setting goals you can actually reach, and definitely rewarding yourself when you make progress.
That makes sense.
And if you look at the bigger picture, all the effective strategies, they aim for the same thing. Moving new words from your short-term, sort of fleeting memory into your long-term memory. And that just fundamentally requires consistent, repeated exposure. You have to keep meeting those words.
Consistent exposure, right. And you mentioned that's key for long-term memory. Speaking of consistency, a concept that kept popping up was this thing called spaced repetition. Sounds sciencey? What is it exactly? How does it work?
Yeah, it does sound a bit technical, but the idea is actually quite intuitive once you grasp it. Spaced repetition is basically a memory technique. It involves reviewing information.
Like vocabulary words.
Exactly, like words or facts, anything really. You review them at regular but increasing intervals of time.
Increasing intervals. Why increasing?
Well, it builds on something called the spacing effect. A psychologist named Herman Ebbinghaus figured out ages ago that we forget new information fastest right after we learn it.
Okay, yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Right. But the forgetting process slows down over time. So spaced repetition systems calculate the best time to show you a word again just before you're about to forget it.
Ah, clever.
Yeah. By revisiting it at these optimal intervals, you keep it fresh, you strengthen the memory trace, and eventually it gets locked into your long-term memory. It's totally different from just, cramming the night before an exam.
Which never really works long-term.
Exactly. Cramming is for temporary recall. Spaced repetition is for lasting knowledge.
Okay, so how do flashcards fit into this? They seem pretty low-tech compared to, memory algorithms.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Flashcards are actually a super effective way to implement spaced repetition.
How so?
Because they rely heavily on active recall. That means you're forcing your brain to retrieve the information from scratch, not just passively recognizing it like you might when rereading a list.
Right, looking at the answer versus having to produce it yourself.
Precisely. And study after study shows that this active retrieval strengthens memory way more effectively than passive review. Plus, flashcards are cheap. You can make them yourself. They're flexible, work for anything, any age, and you can even make games out of them, which helps keep things engaging.
So it's really about being able to produce the word, not just understand it when someone else uses it. That feels like a much bigger step.
It is, and it's critical. We found this account from a learner who nailed over 3,000 Korean words.
Wow.
And they really hammered home the importance of practicing recall in both directions. You need to know what the word means when you see it, yes, but you also need to be able to pull that word out of your head when you just have the definition or the idea.
So English to your language and your language to English, basically.
English definition to English word, eventually. Right. That active production, that's what really boosts your overall recall and your fluency. being able to think of the word you need when you need it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for listeners wanting to really level up their flashcard game, what are some key tips from the sources, like design, how to use them?
Good question. For design, keep it simple but effective. Clear, concise definitions are key. Adding relevant pictures or symbols can really help trigger memory for visual learners.
Like a little drawing.
Exactly. And always include an example sentence. Context is everything for understanding how a word is actually used.
Okay. What about organizing them?
Grouping them by topic, like food or travel, or by difficulty level, can make study sessions more focused. And for usage, a really powerful tip is to incorporate auditory learning.
Meaning?
Saying the words out loud as you study them. It helps with pronunciation, obviously, but it also engages different parts of your brain, strengthening the memory.
Multisensory learning.
Precisely. And for more advanced learners, try putting the definition in English on the flashcard rather than your native language.
Ooh. That sounds challenging but useful.
It is. It pushes you to think in English and helps you grasp the nuances of meaning, moving away from direct translation traps.
Okay, so spaced repetition, flashcards, powerful tools.
Yeah.
But what else? What other techniques can we use to keep expanding our vocabulary beyond that?
Yeah, because flashcards are great, but they shouldn't be the only thing, right? This raises the question of how do we weave vocabulary learning into our everyday lives, make it feel less like homework?
Yes, please.
Well, our sources offered a whole bunch of innovative, more integrated methods.
Like what? I saw a lot about immersion, just surrounding yourself with English. How does that actually work for vocab?
Immersion is huge. Simply reading a lot in English books, news, websites, whatever interests you, forces you to constantly encounter new words in context. You have to figure them out from the surrounding text.
Okay, makes sense.
And listening too. Watching English movies, TV shows, listening to podcasts, music. It helps you learn vocabulary tied to actual situations, scenes, emotions.
Right. You remember the word because you remember the scene it was in?
Exactly. And don't underestimate singing along to songs. Melodies are incredibly powerful memory aids. A word stuck in a song lyric can stay with you forever.
Huh. Yeah. I still remember song lyrics from years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, what about practical, like daily habits, things we can actually schedule in?
Little and often is key here. Short bursts of focused study, maybe 15, 20 minutes of flashcards during your commute.
Or a coffee break.
Or just before bed to recap. Consistency over quantity. And here's a vital tip from one really successful learner we read about. Get good at quickly jotting down new words you hear or see out in the wild.
Oh, like in conversations or on signs?
Yeah. Note it down immediately, phone, small notebook, whatever. Look it up quickly if you can, then add it properly to your flashcards or notebook later.
Why is that so effective?
Because these naturally occurring words tend to be relevant to your life and experiences, and they often pop up again soon. Mastering them early gives you a real boost.
I like that. What about for people who are more, hands-on or creative?
Absolutely. Keeping a dedicated vocabulary notebook is highly recommended.
Like a physical notebook?
Yeah, the actual physical act of writing helps embed things in memory for many people. Plus, you can record more detail, meaning word type, noun, verb, etc., pronunciation quirks, and importantly, collocations.
Collocations, remind me.
Words that naturally go together, like you say, heavy rain, not strong rain, or you make a decision, not do a decision. Learning these chunks is vital for sounding natural.
Got it, okay.
Using highlighters or color coding in your notes can also help with quick recognition later, and other active things. Drawing pictures if you're visual, playing vocabulary games, lots of apps for that. Maybe even start a simple blog in English. Forces you to use the new words you're learning. And honestly, just asking native speakers, if you hear a word you don't know, ask them what it means. Learning firsthand is great.
Okay, lots of active strategies there. Now, we also came across these things called mnemonic devices, kind of like mental shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly. What's really cool about mnemonics is how they tap into our brain's natural love for association, visualization, and simplification. They can make learning feel faster and way more fun.
How do they work? What are some examples?
Well, the sources detailed quite a few. You've got acronyms like maybe using MBOYs to remember coordinating conjunctions in grammar.
For and, nor but, or yet so. Yeah, I remember that one.
Exactly. Rhymes are another little catchy phrases like, I before E except after C. Helps rules stick.
Okay.
Visualization is powerful. Imagine something vivid, like for the word synergy, maybe picture two superheroes joining forces, creating more power together than apart.
Huh. I like that.
Storytelling weave a bunch of new words into a short, maybe silly story. Chunking, breaking long lists into smaller groups like phone numbers. The method of loci, or memory palace, associating words with specific locations in a familiar place, like rooms in your house. You mentally walk through and see the words.
That sounds elaborate but cool.
It can be. And just general association, linking a new abstract word to something concrete and familiar, like linking photosynthesis to a vivid image of a plant soaking up sunshine.
So the key is making a strong connection.
Yes. And actually, one source pointed out that the more ridiculous or multisensory or even emotionally charged you make your association, the better it sticks.
Really? Why is that?
Our brains are wired to remember things that are novel, funny, weird, or emotionally resonant much better than things that are just plain and boring. So lean into the absurdity.
Okay, make my mnemonics weird and wonderful.
Yeah.
Got it. But what if someone isn't naturally great at visualization or making up stories? Are there pitfalls to avoid with these?
That's a fair point. Mnemonics aren't for everyone, or maybe some types work better than others. But shifting gears slightly, thinking about pitfalls in general when learning vocabulary is really important. Recognizing common mistakes helps you improve faster, regardless of your study method.
Like what kind of mistakes?
A huge one, mentioned across several sources, is direct translation. Trying to translate word for word from your native language into English.
Why is that bad?
Because languages just don't map onto each other perfectly. Sentence structure is different, words have different nuances and idioms. Well, idioms rarely make sense if you translate them literally.
Ah, yeah. Break a leg doesn't mean.
Exactly. So the advice is, focus on understanding the meaning behind phrases. Try to think in English as much as you possibly can, and definitely make an effort to learn common English idioms.
Okay, think in English, learn idioms. What about grammar-related trick-ups that mess up vocabulary use?
Oh yeah, plenty of those. Misusing articles a and the is super common. Getting verb tenses wrong. And prepositions. Oh, prepositions are tricky for almost everyone.
Yeah.
The advice here is pretty consistent. You need to familiarize yourself with the rules, yes, but mostly practice. Read a lot, write a lot, use reference charts if you need them, but crucially, pay attention to how native speakers actually use them.
Notice the patterns.
Exactly. And flashcards, surprisingly, can be good here too, especially for memorizing tricky prepositional phrases where the rules might feel a bit fuzzy.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And lastly, what about those little habits that might make us sound, I don't know, less sure of ourselves when we speak, even if we know the vocabulary?
You mean like filler words?
Yeah. Using too many ums and uhs and you knows.
Right. That can definitely make speech sound hesitant. The sources net a really simple but effective tip for this.
What is it?
Practice pausing. Instead of filling the silence with when you need a second to think, just take a brief, silent pause.
Just say nicely.
Just a moment of silence. It actually makes you sound more thoughtful and articulate, more confident than filling the gap with noise. It takes practice to get comfortable with the silence, but it works.
Okay, practice pausing, not filling. I like that. Wow, okay, this has been incredibly comprehensive. We've really covered a lot of ground.
We have. From the why behind vocabulary to the science of memory with spaced repetition.
Right, and the practical power of flashcards when used properly.
And then all those diverse strategies, immersion notebooks, mnemonics.
Making them weird.
Yes, making them weird. And also, importantly, how to spot and sidestep those common mistakes like direct translation or overusing fillers.
It really feels like we've laid out a solid roadmap.
I hope so. And it's worth remembering, every single new word you learn, every concept you grasp, it really is a significant step, a step towards better understanding, clearer communication, and ultimately more confidence when using English.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up, here's something for you, the listener, to think about. After hearing all these different ideas and techniques, what single vocabulary learning technique will you commit to trying, maybe just for the next week? And how might that small, consistent effort start to compound over time and really transform your confidence in English?